First and foremost, I want to commend the agency's personnel. Everybody that responded yesterday did an outstanding job. Not just our department, but the other departments that responded, the Bay County Sheriff's Office, all the local agencies that responded, and of course neighboring agencies, Walton County, Okaloosa County. We certainly appreciate all their support in yesterday's event. And it's that cooperation that we have among each other when these situations arise that help us to come out on the other side very successful. So the coordination was seamless yesterday. We could not have asked for better performance out of our personnel.
Tell us a little bit about that teamwork. How many local or how many agencies were here, and how did you all really come together to make sure this was as safe as possible? Every
single agency in the Bay County area, Mexico Beach, Lynn Haven, Sheriff's Office, us, the beach, that was here locally, to include state agencies, FHP, FWC, started responding once the calls went out. When I was en route to the scene myself, I was on the phone with Sheriff Ford. That coordination was in process in that response. And that is critical in these kind of incidences. These incidents can last, as you can see, well into the evening, like yesterday. Started right around lunchtime, and we didn't wind up till about 6 o'clock, just with getting the scene made safe completely. So, I mean, this is a multi-hour operation. It takes a toll on personnel through the heat, through the time, through the exhaustion, through the mental stress. So those resources are critical to a situation's successful outcome.
And how were you able to, protect the citizens and residents and locals that were nearby throughout all of this?
Well, I can tell you, and that's why I commend our personnel. Even though they are under fire, when I first arrived, we are trying to coordinate citizen safety at that point. There was a young lady that was in the parking lot that was directed out of the parking lot. She's the one that did suffer a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. She actually went down from that gunshot. The lieutenant returned to retrieve her and get her out of harm's way, putting himself at jeopardy. I know we evacuated houses. There were other people pinned down when the sheriff arrived with his armored vehicle. Our first thought is getting all of those people, the officers that were pinned down, as well as the civilian personnel, to safety first. And so we had to obviously engage the suspect, who's still firing during a lot of this, and lay down suppressive fire to be able to get those people out into a safe location. So first and foremost, that was our priority. Then we turned to addressing the barricaded subject and everything else to see if he was still there, if he was still alive at that point. And at that point, we had time on our side because we knew we had the citizens safe. And so we slowed everything down. We're very methodical. That's why the operation took so long. And so, like I said, even though they're under fire, their first and paramount concern was the safety of citizens.
Can you talk a little bit about the minutes where officers were pinned down and what was going through your head?
Well, I can tell you it's a sinking feeling for an administrator to show up, see their personnel under fire, and not have the resources right there at that split second to get them out safely. And so even though it was coordinated, time's ticking, every second that goes by, they're in harm's way. So it's extremely stressful.
How long were they kind of stuck in that position so they could be treated?
Well, I don't know, but I know it seemed like an eternity, and I can tell you 10 seconds seems like 10 minutes in those situations. And like I said, their performance, their pressure under those circumstances, their resilience is remarkable.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process of actually, entering the residence? I think Sheriff Ford mentioned that there was officers that went in to the top window. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. And actually, prior to doing that, once we had the armored vehicle on scene, we made the scene safe from that perspective. There's a lot that goes on. That we're having to contain an area, we're having to reroute traffic, we're having to do all these things simultaneously. He took tactical command because it was his vehicle, and approached that to make the scene safe, and then ultimately to enter that residence there. On the outside, I'm having to coordinate all the other response. we have additional agencies, we have additional resources, and somebody has to direct that because his attention is diverted. That's why I said the seamlessness and the cooperation we had with each other yesterday was just outstanding.
And is the police department doing any after action reviews, kind of to see what you guys did well, what you're trying to improve on? Or?
Well, at this point, we will probably talk about this for several weeks. First and foremost is the mental well-being of our personnel. Going through that stressful situation this morning, we met with our personnel to discuss yesterday. We didn't want to do that yesterday because we wanted them to go home to their families. We're thankful that they were able to do that, and that was primary. This morning we're focusing on that. Tomorrow we're going to have a stress management debriefing peer-to-peer, and then as the weeks go on, we're going to talk about all the tactical outcomes and lessons learned. We can prepare, we train, and you could see that put to good use yesterday. It's the dedication to training that all the local agencies have here. Like I said, the cooperation we have made it seamless, but there are things that we learn, and sometimes you don't know what you know until you're there. And so we're going to learn from this event and not only keep Panama City safe, but make it even safer by implementing new measures.
What are your thoughts on this incident happening here in Panama City? I mean, I imagine uncommon.
Well, I grew up here. We're not Mayberry. This is not a small town, but this can happen in small town USA. Any city could have this happen at any given moment, and our personnel have to prepare for that because it's any given day.
And what's going through your mind today after this was concluded and most everyone is safe? Well, one, extreme pride, like I said, in our agency and the other agencies and how we handled yesterday's situation. Time to decompress, make sure our people are taken care of. We're thankful that no other citizens were hurt, obviously. And then also to now turn towards how do we get even better. And what's next from here as far as the whole situation goes? Is it concluded? Is there investigations ongoing? Florida Department of Law Enforcement now has that investigation. Of course, Walton County had their investigation with the incident over there, which this subject was the suspect in that particular case. So, we have to wait till they conclude their findings, and they'll present all the facts related to yesterday's incident.
Sheriff Ford was calling this a success because no civilians or law enforcement were injured. Is that what you would call it as well, and why is it so successful?
Well, like I said, we don't want any civilian casualties. That's what we swore an oath to uphold, is to protect the people of this community. And obviously, when we don't get anybody seriously hurt or harmed, that's a success. Every day our officers get to go home, that's a success. Because we don't know. I know we just had a memorial service, and people and officers throughout the United States lose their life in service to their community. So absolutely, every shift we get to go home is a success.
Anything else that you can tell us about the updates since yesterday about?
I can tell you just, from the scene that I got to look at, this individual was extremely well prepared. His intent was to do harm. There's no doubt about that. The fact that he was barricaded, the amount of ammunition that he had, taking a tactical position of high ground, he had every intent. He had a bulletproof vest, he had flares, he had evidently had gasoline in the building itself. So his intent was to do harm.
Do we have any idea of a motive, like what may have inspired him to become so prepared for this? I
can't answer what happened in Walton County, but just from my perspective, obviously he knew law enforcement was probably going to be coming for him related to that incident. So he had prepared himself. He was not going to go out without a fight.
How many Panama City police officers do you think responded to this? How many of your?
I don't have a head count, but it's every person we had available that could go. And that was one thing too. We still had to have officers on the road to answer the other calls in the city, and we were slim at times. But that's part of that partnership. We had neighboring agencies. The sheriff's office were actually handling some calls in the city simultaneously to assist our officers because they knew those resources were tied up. Lynn Haven, some of the other agencies, they were coming and calling and rendering aid. The The state agencies had their special operations teams on standby in case it went even longer and we had to get relief for our SWAT teams. I mean, like I said, everything was being done was so coordinated and well done. I just can't thank everybody enough.
Anything else that you would like to add about it?
No, I hope this never happens again, but we're going to continue to prepare that it could happen every day. So.
Thank you.